The light was suddenly in the man's eyes, and when he picked it up, it was a picture of a beautiful woman, and he somehow put it in his pocket. But the next time Carl woke up, he was told that his team had all been killed in a bomb attack and he was the only one who miraculously survived. He handed him a photo and said that it might have saved him because it said to be safe on the back of the photo. Carl knew that it must be the lucky fortune of some fellow soldier. The woman in the photo was probably her lover, so she asked around for the owner of the photo. But no one ever thought that a month later Carl's new team was going to leave the battlefield, and they were all laughing and told Carl to wait until the war was over and try to find the goddess, and that's when it happened. A shell struck again, but incredibly. Kal Jing lives again, and it's as if the good fortune really worked until he returns home with the post-war syndrome. The spirit is always tight and even almost killed his own green alien. Carl cannot accept such, their emotions often collapse. In a moment of despair, he once again remembered that lucky God may have to find him to make himself normal. He found the building in the photo through the computer and then walked across thousands of mountains and rivers to see the exact lighthouse. After many inquiries, smoothly came to the girl's dog club. Looking at the girl on the photo at the moment is alive in front of her, whole person is frozen. Clearly is the first time to meet, but there is a voice in the heart to tell her this is what she wants to guard in this life. Annie thought Carl was here to apply for a job and was eager to entertain him when he learned that Carl had walked hundreds of miles to get here. His face turned cold and he panicked and fled the scene and begged Grandma to get rid of the man because he wasn't acting like a normal person. But this is a dog, shot is short of manpower. Grandma, after a brief inquiry to keep him and direct efforts, I return to you like this, you do not love you really, look at he still want to keep you this, so Hal smoothly stay. He worked hard every day to do all the dirty work, and even the tractor that had been abandoned for years was repaired by him. He wanted to change the impression in Annie's mind with his actions, and it was true that Annie and Grandma thought that this new man was reliable until Annie's ex-husband knew that he had found the card in a police car and arrogantly asked him to put his hand on the table. This man has done nothing wrong and is covered in police. Seeing that he was a veteran on his badge was another wild taunt from the police as he tried to salvage his relationship with his ex-wife and get back custody of his son. But the appearance of this man disrupts his plan. He must get rid of this thorn in his side. What can Carl say about Annie's personal affairs? After all, his current status is just an ordinary employee. But watching him dressed up to attend a party organized by his ex-husband, he still can't tell. Perhaps even he did not realize that his heart had already produced the bud of love for Annie. Sadness and depression had nowhere to tell. He could only rest on the melodious sound of love, but he did not realize that the scene happened to be seen by Annie's son Mike. In Mike's eyes, this new uncle seems omnipotent and instinctively wants to be close to him even in spite of Annie's objections. Inviting Carl to stay for dinner and a game of chess after dinner, the two of them having a lovely time. Let Anne gradually no longer reject the smile on his face. A lot more he wanted to tell Anne about the picture, can hesitate several times, cannot say. Because Anne, someone important may have died in that battle, it must be the home has not changed. You said that Laco. Carl looked at Anne's back. The mood is very complicated. The second day Anne and Grandma went to see the sudden death of his brother hit him very hard after sweeping the grave. He went crazy pulling weeds and pulling down flower pots as if he could just clean up the yard and get his brother back. Carl looked distressed and quickly came forward to embrace him, let him struggle in his arms and resolutely not to let go. Until she calmed down, Annie said that she and her brother had been close since their parents died, but the government said that he had not been shot by the enemy. Instead, she was killed by friendly fire, which Annie couldn't accept because it meant that her brother's death was meaningless and all her blood and dreams were a joke. You this turtle heard why I was touched. I went to wear strawberries to this time a person also their BB preparation. You said to think of the anguish in the hearts of this classmate was told the hearts of two people and therefore close to a lot of Tal wanted to let Anne happy to bathe the dog together to play with water play in his efforts, Anne's face more and more smiles. The relationship between the two people is also rapidly heating up, the breath of love in each other lingering. Then one day her ex-husband took Mike to a baseball game and Mike got hurt and Annie just snapped. The ex-husband, who thought it must be because he wasn't paying attention, felt humiliated and started yelling at Annie. He also said that if he was angry he would directly use means to completely rob his son in time to get rid of Carl's ex-husband. He asked, and why not? Annie said she was just a powerful ex-husband and had to suck it up so she could move on with her son and ask Carl to stay out of his own business and not make things worse. From nothing Carl turned to leave some cold calm down and immediately realized that he said the wrong words to look at Carl gradually away his heart of pulling pain and then hurriedly rushed out of the courage to shout. The two Winkty bears finally began their date in the hazy moonlight of each other. Soon it was Mike's birthday and the atmosphere was so happy that the ex-husband was staring at Carl with a picture of the sandstorm in his eyes that the man met his goddess but also inadvertently offended her ex-husband. The ex-husband hates Carl but he's afraid to do it because he's a real veteran with blood on his hands, so he goes to Annie. Threaten him to drive Carl away or he will immediately use the relationship to get the son custody back. Carl did not angry, just left a gentle look and then left without a backward look. As long as it can make Annie happy, let him do what is willing to. Ex-husband drove the car deliberately to catch up with Carl to show off to him. Carl does not care, only to him as a clown. At the same time grandmother found an absent-minded so can not help but remind a way in the tolerance will only make the villain worse. Only let go of A to get rid of the shackles, and thoughtfully looked at the sleeping Mike, thinking about the man who was driven away by him in person. Silently had a decision in his heart. He took the initiative to find his ex-husband. You Lao Wang, don't look at 400 of my people, I have to see through to see not to whine. Fitty want the families through a dear sister Jerem, good mother, y'all love everybody. Because the thing that sold this gun was this hoe our weird play. Annie found the card that was packing and boldly showed the rich heart. All of this outside the ex-husband gas confused. He soon found out about Carl, and Carl is not secretly took the photo and then found Annie began to walk around the lake. That Carl was the one who killed his brother by mistake, and the only reason he came to you with the photo was to atone for the fact that the ex-husband's leaving the sword worked. And Annie thought about all the good things with Carl. Behind are stained with his brother's blood on the pain of the heart. He took a photo to find Carl account. Carl hurriedly said things. He's fine. You didn't want it anyway. I was wearing Guerlain in class, but it was so weird that Annie thought he was doing it by the lake, so she threw Carl out again with a lot of words, you know. See, the fate of two people is about to be completely interrupted. Mike suddenly rushed out with a book he let Carl must read. Carl firmly in mind he found a picture in the tree. This is Anne's dead brother, but Carl saw this man was originally for the possession of sacrifice, is not the rumor of friendly fire, so he got up quickly and wanted to tell Annie what had happened. At the same time, and again refused the request of ex-husband. Compound ex-husband angry to take his son overnight from the sun, saw hurriedly out of the rain, want to find Carl to help him that his son is gone. The ex-husband immediately ran after him, fearing that his son would fall off the rickety drawbridge, and shouted at him to stop, but eventually the accident happened. Ex-husband in the water, dead. Alarm, son want to go to shore, but two people's feet are entangled in water grass to see the water level is getting higher and higher. Life and death crisis. When Carl suddenly felt, he begged Carl to send his son to Carl just want to return to rescue a card. When the giant plank came crashing down, the ex-husband was completely submerged in the water, and he loved his son as much as anyone else despite all his efforts. Carl told Annie about his brother and said that his death was not for nothing and that he was an admirable hero. Looking at Anne in grief and mourning, Carl knew he should go. He set foot on the way home again. Brilliant sunset will set off his figure against the lonely and firm. Suddenly in a moment Anne's voice sounded behind. Carl hurriedly turned his head to see the familiar figure. He looked sad, looking at the card, trembling voice full of helplessness and plea. A river lovely. Oh, Carl did not say anything, but step by step to the beloved woman will be her, tightly hugged into his arms. Everyone has their own fate, but whether can go together. Also need to see how high the determination of each other. The road of love will not be smooth, but as long as we firmly hold each other's hands, and then bitter and difficult are not worth being afraid of. After the wind and rain is the warm, sweet, happy life is good. Here is for better life. If you like, please follow me. Thank you.